And for some reason, they bring up Batman, like, oh my gosh, you were so good. And she just, Eartha Kitt, goes, and I'm like,
Boom, what's up, familia? Dayspring here with a very special episode of Power of X-Men. I am so incredibly flustered right now because we have my childhood hero. You're still my hero today, but I met you through the TV when I was 12 years old, and I just thought you were the coolest hero out there. I had never seen a hero that was reflective of me and my abuela and my entire family. We have Agustin Rodriguez, aka Skin, from Generation X.
that's good imagery.
Dude.
We have a special guest, by the way.
Wait, who's the special guest?
We have a special guest.
Oh my God! Dude, that figure holds up till this day.
Right? I think it did. Look. I mean, I think I've aged a little better since then. Yeah, this is it. Skin. Oh my gosh. Someone gave me this years ago, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then this little kid, he's like, oh my gosh, this is you. And he throws it on the floor and stomps on it. I'm like, okay. It's like,
I remember I was at KB Toys when I found that. No, actually, it was at Toys R Us when I found that figure. And again, man, like, I just want to reiterate the point that Generation X TV movie, when it came out 29 years ago in 1996, I mean, we were all talking about it at school the next day. I think, did it air on a Saturday or a Tuesday? I'm forgetting here.
I think it was a Tuesday. I think it was during the week. I remember that.
Because we had the comics. Obviously, we had the Generation X comics, and then the next day we were going through the comics because you know the internet didn't exist in the way it does here, and we started talking about all the similarities. And you were, I mean, the amount of pride of seeing a Latino like hero right there. I mean, I'm a kid in Miami on Calle Ocho. I go to a small Catholic school, and to see you on screen, that was incredible.
Oh, cool! That is so cool. That's something I've never thought about. Like as far as the impact of my, I'm just thinking, let me do the best job I can. Let me have the most fun I can and enjoy it and really, do a good job as an actor. But I never thought about that as far as the impact of having a Latino superhero. Right, and then later on, it was after the fact. I think you told me, other people told me that really know much more about the comics. That like, hey, you're part of the Marvel universe, whether you like it or not. I'm like, I am. I never thought about it that way. Or, oh wow, this was the first Latino, Marvel superhero. I'm like, it was like. I didn't know that. I know there's been iterations of different ones, and obviously to reflect who we are and who we have in the population and in the world, like that's pretty cool for it to affect you that way, and to affect any young boy or girl that way is really, it's a cool thing to think about.
Well, I mean, when you're going off that opening scene where you're going off to the academy, and I forget if it's your sister or your little prima, but the whole family, like your morning, every morning when I was going off to school, especially if it was my first day of school, the entire family would be out there. Abuela, mis tíos, mis tías, everyone would be there, my primitos. And the way she like grabs your hand and you're like, no, like, it's like, everyone has a primo or prima like that.
The little sister's gonna like stretch your hand. Yeah, that was my little sister. She played my sister. She was like 21, but she looked like she was 13 in the episode.
Wait, she was your real life sister?
No. She played my sister in the show.
Okay.
The young actress, she was like 21 years old, but she looked like she was 14.
Yeah.
Her hair made up and all. And it was a lot of fun. I'll tell you, it was a blast. I mean, they flew us out to Vancouver Island, where the whole the school was, and when we shot all that stuff, and it was a lot of fun, blast.
But I don't know if we've spoken. You've been on the podcast before, but I'm trying to remember if we went into detail about your audition process and when you got that call that you had gotten Skin, and did you know how big the character was going to be for the pilot or for the movie?
I did not know. I did. So here's what happened. I did an episode of New York Undercover for Fox, and it was based on that. I never auditioned for this. I never.
Oh,
They just called me, and my agent said, "You got this Generation X." I said, "I do." I said, "I don't remember auditioning for that." And then he's telling me, I'm reading about it. They're sending me the info. They're like, "Yeah, Generation X. The character is called Skin." I'm like, "Oh, I don't know what am I saying yes to here, right?" Because just from that, I'm like, And then I'm reading it. I'm like, "Wait a minute. This is like really cool. This is a comic book character, and there's action, and there's all this stuff and special effects." And as they send me the info on it, they send me the actual comics, and like, how cool is this? Like, and it was just a great. This is one of the highest, one of the most fun things that I've done. People ask me, what was the most favorite thing you did? Definitely, this is up there. This and doing Moon Over Miami. I worked on a TV series. I was a regular on Moon Over Miami. That was a lot of fun. It was in many different ways. But to do this, be special effects and be a superhero and have just kind of do things and do this.
is that how you did it on set when you had to do like for the step in for the power effect?
So there were different. CGI was very different. Like AI today, you could do like anything, right? It's like this isn't like Pong for us, right? But CGI, you had like a tennis ball with a string, and then that would be the trajectory of your hand, and it was very different, yeah, because they would put all those effects in afterwards, after the fact. But that's the way they were doing it, and there was special effects, makeup, like stretching the skin and to a certain point. So yeah.
What was it like when you first met the cast? I mean, you have a stacked cast like Finola Hughes, Heather McComb. Like, how was that like?
Gosh, I mean, Jeremy and
Yeah.
all those guys. It was a lot of fun. I mean, especially, I mean, I grew up watching General Hospital, so Finola Hughes. Just I knew her. I knew Finola from TV. From like, man, here I am across from her, and of course, Max Headroom, and had scenes with him, and they were just really nice people. It was really cool. It was just a fun experience. It was so full, and I didn't realize, again, not auditioning and just go jumping in there, and it's like, and that Jubilee and myself would be kind of like highlighted or featured in the film a lot. And again, it was a blessing. I felt like it's like you hit the lotto. I was just like, oh my gosh! I remember just thanking God for that. Being like, man, this is really fun.
You and Heather had such wonderful chemistry. And the way you guys bounced off of each other, and I'm forgetting who we spoke to, but I don't think it may have been you, but I don't think the initial plan was that you guys were going to be love interests, but it was going to be like a Mulder and Scully, where you guys were just, oh wait, was there a love interest? I mean, there were sparks there. Oh,
It was just like we were just like both going through the same experience. Like
yeah,
here
yeah,
we
yeah.
were, kind of just like new to this. We're kind of just like regular mutants, mutants that are like in this situation, uncomfortable situation, and just kind of going through it and kind of helping each other through it.
Yeah.
It was kind of like just buddies or brother and sister. Kind of like, yeah, she's going through this. I'm trying to comfort her, and I'm going through stuff. She's like, oh, you should do this, and yeah, that's kind of like how it went. And it was just so much fun. Heather's just a cool person, just as a person, as a human being. So it just makes it when you meet people and they're very cool people, you kind of know that obviously they auditioned or maybe they chose her the same way they chose me, but they're good. They're gonna be good actors. It's gonna be a good experience. When someone's just a good person. So it was really simple. It was really easy to just like vibe with her and improv and do all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
What was your approach to Skin? Because I know I can speak for a lot of us who love Generation X, who love Skin. In the comics, he isn't always given the spotlight, and you and your interpretation of Skin is sort of the first time the character really does have a fleshed out arc, a fleshed out story. And I'm curious, what was your approach when you get the script? You and Heather are gonna be highlighted. What do you think when you're creating Skin for TV for to bring him to life? What was sort of your mindset with him, if you remember?
If you remember it, Yuri.
Dude, I can't even remember what happened
Years ago.
last year, let alone 29 years ago. I cannot.
No, no. I remember. I remember
Yeah.
going through it and just I would approach it as I would. I mean, I was given a lot of help with the comics, right? And then talking to friends of mine that were really knew the background of the comic book. So I would dig into the research. I just would approach it that way. I would approach it, okay, let me look at the script and what's going on with these people in this situation, right? And then of course all the background, like, oh, Scan and where he comes from and his powers and all that background, so I can know what to throw in there to add. But of course, in the story, he's kind of discovering things, so it's happening. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. But I would approach it the way I approach it most parts, where I would just kind of dive in as much as I could, do as much research and know what's going on really on the page. That gives you all the clues. So on the page, you get a lot of context, and okay, wow, they seem to have some kind of history, and oh, he seems to walk into the room like something just happened before he walked into the room. The way you would approach, I would approach other scripts. So it's kind of like that. But plus, again, having the additional comic books. Most scripts, you have the script. You don't have additional background like that, or like people knowing the history of the comic. Usually, you don't have all that. So yeah.
When I woke up this morning and I was sort of putting my notes together for our chat today, one of the things that's so clear to me, and I want to make sure that everyone, that the familia at home, people who are tuning in for this app, understand that before the Generation X TV movie, there was no live action X-Men. The MCU wasn't what the MCU is today. You all were pioneers for that, and specifically the Skin character, who is a point of view character who is very fleshed out. It's not just one dimensional, two dimensional character on screen. Like, you feel for Skin, you see where he's going, and even when he arrives at the school, he's almost like still an outsider. He's an outsider in his real life because he's a mutant, and then once he gets to school, you have the politics of a school. And those narratives did not exist before. Now they're a little bit more commonplace with Disney Plus and everything going on in the movies. But Generation X was the pioneer for that, and especially it was a beta for the X-Men movies that came out in the early aughts.
Yeah, it really was. It really, because I don't remember. I remember growing up, seeing like Spider-Man. Remember that Spider-Man movie when they had the silver things around?
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
remember seeing him. I remember seeing certain, but there weren't too many. You didn't see too much of that. And then, and like you said, yeah, it was just he was going through. He's an outsider, even there among the other mutants. They were just like at times picking on him, and then here he is trying to get to know. He's kind of, there's this girl he likes. There is a love interest. So guys, you got to watch it. Yeah. And then he's encountering other people outside of, and then outsider there. And then there's actual reference a couple times in the story. It's like, oh, he's different. Here he is. He's Latino. He's and not light skin like they, but like a little dark skin. So there's reference to that.
Yeah.
So it reads very genuine, very real to me, because in life things will happen that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes you feel like you don't fit in, or I was picked on in school. That's what made me want to train in martial arts and become a black belt and be like, I'm not getting picked on anymore.
We're not fucking with you. No one can fuck on it. But
Don't mess with skin. Don't mess with skin.
I want to pull on that thing really quickly, of what you just said about him being a darker skin Latino, because even last night I was at a bar in the neighborhood here in Miami, and someone came up to me and was like, "You're not really Cuban. You're too pale to be Cuban." And I don't think, first of all, I'm so insulted that someone would come in and tell me that, like, I'm lying about my back. My apellido is Flores, but it's one of those things where it's like, I don't think, what I'm trying to say is the nuance in that script, how smart that script was, how you delivered it. Not only an outsider because you're a mutant, not only an outsider because you're the school politics, but even within your own minority identity. Oh, he's a darker skin Latino. Oh, he's lighter skin Latino. All that. Again, the movie does not get the credit it deserves for being so ahead of its time. And again, in sort of speaking, I can't speak for the rest of the country, but I can speak to Miami in 1996. That was so impactful.
Wow. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's a good thing. Again, I'd never thought about it that way. As far now, we're looking back, right?
Yeah.
Like hindsight is 2020, right? You kind of look back and go, "Whoa, yeah." At that time, and what it was saying, what it was putting out there was really, yeah, just genuine. It was really,
It was so genuine.
Yeah, yeah.
And comics accurate, by the way, genuine and comics accurate. And we've had Scott Lobdell, who's the creator of Generation X, on the podcast many times, and I wanted to have him tap in for a talk today, but I don't think we could have.
So cool.
I think you're just gonna have to come in again.
Sure, no problem, no problem. It'd be great to meet him. My gosh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, but the comic book was supposed to be emblematic of the times. This was a generation of kids growing up in the 90s, and they weren't, if you wanted to see Wolverine, if you wanted to see Cyclops, Jean Grey, Bishop, then you go to the X-Men. But if you want to see Skin, if you want to see Jubilee, if you want to see Chamber, Husk, or Refrax in the case of the movie, then you come to Generation X. And that very much is captured in your movie.
Yeah, really. Now, as far as like you said, it's very comic accurate, and there were people that are you can't please everyone, right? You can please some of the people some of the time. So I would see all kind of comments.
Yeah.
In fact, I got to tell you that I wish I had the image here. I should have made a copy of it. And I remember seeing the thumbnail on YouTube. I'm like, of my face, it's me going like, and it says the caption is just like, is this the worst comic book movie ever? Question mark. So there were people that were so like, oh, it wasn't really accurate because this guy, the refrax and they combined this character. I'm not familiar with the character. I was familiar with my character and what I had to do, but not familiar with that universe, with that. And there were people that are really, really know about it. And for you to say, I know you know about, you're very, versed. So for you to say it's comic accurate, that's good, because there were people that just had all kinds of.
Of course, it's the internet. By the way, I'm not paying attention to you. I'm just trying to see if I can find that video so we can like see it. But here's the thing: of course, things have to be changed and adapted. They do that in the MCU as well. And at the time, I don't think people understand that Fox was still a relatively new network. There were budget constraints.
That's right.
Husk and Chamber, which are the two characters in your movie, they're Buff and Refrax. They were updated and they were changed for budget reasons. It happens. I'm not saying, like it's not, 100% accurate to the comics, but it's adapted. That's why it's an adaptation. And they couldn't, you guys didn't have the budget for Husk, whose skin comes off. So that's why you get Buff. And then you get Refrax, who's Randall's character. In the comics, Chamber, his entire chest is like fire, and he has psionic. Right. That's how it's just not going to work in 1996. It's just the technology wasn't there.
Chamber, so it's not Torch, it is Chamber, right? The one that's all fire.
Yeah,
like
that's
this.
Chamber. Yeah.
All we see is okay. See, yeah, that would have been. I'm telling you, with the special effects that we had at that time, I don't know what would have happened, but.
But that shouldn't take away. Yeah, now they can do it, but that shouldn't take away from how good the movie was. And of course, like again, I believe it was a movie / pilot that was supposed to be turned into a series, right?
Right. It was in the talks that they wanted to. Yeah, perhaps let's see if it could become a series. And I remember at the time, I'll mention this. They asked me. I was interviewed, and they said, "Oh, this may become a series. How do you feel about that?" I said, "Wow, it'd be great, but I'm actually in training for the ministry. So in my life, that's what I was going through in my life." And I'm like, so I was so surrendered whether it was going to work out, which way it was like, it was meant to be that way. For me, I looked at it that way.
So it did work out, but a lot of us were disappointed it didn't make it into a television series. I'm sorry, 29 years later, we're still talking about it. But were you ever given a reason? Because I think we spoke with Jeremy and Heather, and they said there was a contract hold, but why, I don't know if a real reason was ever given initially. If you,
I didn't know any official reason.
yeah,
I just knew that it was a question mark. Kind of like it's like, okay, this is gonna be it was a TV movie. It wasn't necessarily a pilot. It was just a
gotcha.
TV movie. Like it may become more. So it was just up there as a question mark, and I didn't. Only people, behind the scenes and those that do that, and the studio execs, I guess they're thinking and deliberating all that. And there's so many things that are, and a lot of times there's so many factors. Like it's not about like, oh, it was good, it wasn't good, it was well received, it wasn't. There are a lot of factors in there. Maybe there are other things. There's scheduling. There's so many things on the roster. I mean, there's so no official word from that I have ever heard in all
So,
these years.
so 29 years later, is there a memory that you have from set that's your favorite? Any particular moments that stick out to you?
Ah, yeah, this comes to mind, right? Like this little image, this picture snapshot, because there was a love interest, and there was a love scene. So there's one leading up to that where they're in the park, in this amusement park, and I got picked on. I won't say we gotta watch it, guys. You gotta watch
No
it.
spoilers.
Okay.
No spoilers 29 years later.
You can have it on Netflix or something like that. 'Cause you can see kind of like most of it on YouTube. Um, but there's a scene where there's vulnerability because I was picked on, and then the girl saying, "Wow, I'm so sorry, I didn't speak up." And
Yeah.
he's like, "Hey, you would have been picked on too." And then it's just a sweet, quiet moment in the middle of like all this drama. So that stands out to me because yeah, I mean there had a lot of special moments and touching. It wasn't just like action, all the whole thing. Um, that stood out to me for some reason. Maybe the vulnerability of both people in that moment.
All right. I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm sorry to switch gears, but when you're saying it stood out to me, I'm looking at your background right here. And wait, let me see that board.
So there were different. I wanted to show they didn't have video available, so I made this board up, created it to show like highlights of some of the stuff I've done, and right over here is the poster.
Oh,
Well,
2/20/96. I can't believe that I'm talking to you on the anniversary of this movie. Oh man.
it's like there it is.
Dude,
There's
and
the
look
hand.
how cool there's that hand. Dude, it's
Look,
so
it's a
cool.
shot, it's a shot of both of us of Jubilee and Skin. Um,
Oh man.
yeah, this is yeah. It's a minute ago. But yeah, some of the other stuff I've done, I can go through. You told me how fast or slow I can go through this. I worked with Paul Weathers. He's featured obviously in The Mandalorian and Rocky. So for Street Justice, that was an episode I guest starred in. I worked with him. Super nice guy. Um, Worked with Tim Roth. He was in yeah, he's been in everything. From
It's Tim Roth.
it's Tim Roth. Um, and here, jumping on the Boneyard. Here's my scene here with him and Alexis Arquette. Here we were, this scene here. Let's move the hoodie right
Oh, there you
here.
are. Oh, there you are. There you are.
And then, yeah, no, behind him is Alexis Arquette. Um,
Oh, there you go. There you go. I see Alexis.
so they were both in Pulp Fiction. All these both
Yeah.
these actors. And also, man, who else was in Pulp Fiction? Over here, Uma Thurman was in Pulp Fiction. I got to work with her in not in Pretty Woman in Final Analysis. This feature film. That was my first
Yeah.
feature main picture that took me to Los Angeles.
Oh,
Flew to
really?
LA. Yeah, that's the first thing, the first big thing, quote, big thing. I got to work with Richard Gere, with Kim Basinger, with Uma Thurman. And then just when I hear this, let me go to Moon Over Miami. So that was a TV series I was a series regular on. Worked with oh look, here's a shot of all of us. See, back in the day.
Oh
With
man, look at that.
Ali Walker, right? Love them. Bill Campbell, Ali Walker, Sweetheart,
Did
Marla
you
Mary.
did you film in Miami, by the way?
Yeah. I lived there for 6 months.
I remember
Yeah.
you were telling me that. Yeah.
93. Worked
Good
on
year to
a
live in.
another yeah, another TV movie back when they did TV movies, right? Thicker Than Blood with Mickey Rourke. So here he is from he's featured. He was in Iron Man. Obviously, people
Yeah.
remember. Um,
Whiplash.
and and then you guys may remember the movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas.
I
And he was a
remember that.
scene. I just like just weeks ago, I'm at a screening, and they're like, "Yeah, we have, we're so honored to have Academy Award winning actor Michael Douglas." So I'm like, "What? He's here?" So I walked over to him right afterwards. Um, maybe I should flip it around. So yeah, I walked over to him right afterwards, and I was just like, "Hi, Mr. Douglas. I'm so glad we worked together many years ago." I showed him that picture, and I said, "This is you, and this is me." He's like, "Oh wow!" And then my other buddy was taking pictures of us, and I said, "I just want to thank you so much for the opportunity to to work with you. It was a lot of fun." And I gotta say, I still think you're trespassing. So
That
that was
was
my
you.
line in the movie. So you'll get it. If you see the movie or you see the scene, you'll get it. It was, I did this episode of SVU's Law and Order. So I work with Mariska Hargitay and Ice T, and that was my face in the scene.
Dude, look at you. You look badass there.
So I played like four. I've guest starred 3 times on Law and Order, and I've played different characters, completely different people. You know,
Yeah.
this dude, this dude. I know. Like
It's Law and Order, man. Can I tell you? I had friends. I have friends who are also actors in the city, and they were telling me the story that things were rough a couple years ago because of the strikes and lockdown and everything. And she turns to me. She's like, "I can't even get on Law and Order because that's right. Everyone is always on Law and Order. It's a reliable gig."
it's the rite of passage, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's like they're constantly using so many, and they're like experts. Like as
Yeah.
far as production, they're like bop, bop, they just crank them out, and they do them well. And yeah, usually it's the opportunity for a lot of actors. So I'm very grateful because I had never been on it for years and years until I got on it. Then I got on, I just did an episode of Law and Order like 3 weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
The reboot with
Yeah.
and the scene it'll be coming on March 13th. So give or take, they say sometimes they can adjust the date, but that's what I was just told. So that's just the
Where
and I can
where
talk
where did you shoot?
down in Wall Street.
Oh, I love the Wall Street. I just did an event down in Wall Street like 2, 3 weeks ago.
We might have walked right near each other.
Can you
It was
imagine?
so I was all covered up. Oh my gosh.
I know.
Oh, this is the New York undercover episode that this is the show I worked on, right? And there's a shot from it. Let me make sure that it's not too shiny here. Where I played this young knucklehead, and I got to work with Eartha Kitt. Now she was not dressed as Catwoman,
Does she not show up on set as Catwoman? Oh man, what was it like working with her?
so I gotta say again, another very nice person, Eartha Kitt. I mean, she's legendary. I was just like honored to work with her. I gotta say this, you'll like this. So here we are, makeup room, while getting ready and dressed, and we're chatting. She's chatting with the other makeup ladies, and they're and for some reason they bring up Batman. They're like, "Oh my gosh, you were so good," and she just Eartha Kitt goes, and I'm like, I was about to lose my mind. I'm like, I cannot believe I'm here with Catwoman and she's doing this. like, I'm like,
I have to tell you, I think this is the best moment of anything we've ever done on Power of X-Men. Hearing Skin tell us about the time he met Catwoman and how she gave the purr. Oh my goodness.
like, it's kind of cool because comic book character, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's all coming together. So here I am. Not on the Cosby Show, but on the Cosby Show, you may remember Alvin, right? Jeff Owens. He's a dear friend of mine, old friend of mine, and here I am choking him because he's my friend. Well, I was told to do that for the script for this Forgiven, this indie film that we did. It was actually a faith-based film. I did. I had a scene with Ray Fiennes in Strange Days. So here he is, and people know him from from Harry Potter and got to meet Angela Bassett, but my scene was with Ray Fiennes, and so I had to include this picture so to give people like context. Like here he is, Schindler's List. I mean,
Yeah,
Bank,
that's an powerful
uh,
movie.
right? Steven Spielberg. My goodness, people. I'm showing this to kids, to some of my students, and they're like, do you know who this is? Steven Spielberg. They're like, no. I said, you may have heard of a little movie called Jurassic Park, or like, or like,
E.T.
oh, come on.
Okay, so you're on Law and Order. The episode's coming out March 13th ish, give or take. What can you tell us about your character? What can you tell us about that
It's
episode?
where I gave the lady cop a hard time, put it that way. And yeah, and the cool thing is that now usually, okay, the Law and Order episodes I've done, I'm running from the cops, most of them. So this one I'm not. I'm well dressed, well spoken, articulate.
Oh,
That's because now I'm older, right? I just don't tell anybody. I just turned 58. So
you're
it's February
58. Dude, you do not look 58 at all.
550.
I don't know why I thought you and I were probably in the same age range because I don't know. It could be because of your character being a teenager in Generation X, and I was about 12, so I just assumed you were a couple years older than me.
No, I was 29 when we shot that. I'm playing a team. Yes, I know the scene.
29 and you look like you were 16. I mean, listen, it's the Latino thing too because when I was 28, I looked like I was 14.
It's. I mean, you still look pretty young. Just a couple of years
I'm
after.
41. I'm 41, and I pay a lot of money for this now. I pay a lot of money for. I do a lot of Botox.
No, you look awesome, man. And I'll tell you, I'm grateful. My parents are vampires. Like
Yeah,
I really am 551. Anyway, so,
exclusive right here.
so Law and Order. I just did in August. I have to include this. There was a hiatus where I took off about over 10 years from
Yeah.
acting. I went through a rough time. Went through divorce, losing work, losing a job, losing my place to live. This is what happened. We have our peaks and valleys, and our storms. I had a few storms, and
Sorry.
yeah, and but those times really help you. So there was a period of over 10 years I didn't really act. I was focusing on just working and building my own business. And I've taught and taught on camera acting for a lot of years and leadership, and so that was great. I got to develop a lot during that time and grow as a person. But uh, almost a 13-year hiatus, and I recently came back really officially to acting, where again did this series, this one episode for a series called Heavy Hitters, and just did. I starred in this. It was one of the lead roles for a feature film called Fettered, and it's going to be releasing soon. I
All
don't know.
right.
Yeah, so it's already in post. It's been in post for a while, and they're almost about to lock down a date. So that's happening. And then the Law and Order episode I just did. So I'm just very encouraged that all this is going on now. That I officially come back. I feel like Rocky 7 sometimes. I'm like, I still got it. I got something in the basement here. I still got something to contribute. But yeah, I'm thankful. I'm very grateful for the time. I no longer playing a teen. Thank God, no longer running from the cops, but it opens the door for so much more. So if anybody out there, if you talk to the creator of Generation X, let's see if we can get them into the MCU. Let's see if we can I don't know, do a Spider-Verse thing. We go back into time and bring back Generation X, because it was memorable. It's got a following.
Dude, you're preaching to the choir. I couldn't agree with you more, man. First of all, like, I can't believe you took a decades-long hiatus and you're able to come back with such like full throttle. That's incredible, man. Congratulations on that. And I'm sorry to hear about those. Life is all about peaks and valleys, but man, when you're going through that storm, it's tough. You know?
But you know what? I do want to say it's a good thing, because as the tough times you've been through that only you know about and only you know what it feels like. They create you. They make you tougher. They make you
Yeah.
stronger. They make you wiser, more grateful, and even more compassionate toward other people. you think, oh wow, after going through a divorce, I have a lot of empathy for people who've gone through that, you
Yeah.
know, and thank God, you know, my friends have had like nightmare situations involving children. It's like horrible, horrible situations. So you know, it makes you it puts things in perspective, you know.
Man, well, let me tell you something. It's the mark of a true hero, both on screen and off screen. And Familia, check out all of his upcoming stuff. Where can folks find you if they want to tell you how much they love your work, how much they love Generation X?
Sure, sure. On YouTube, you just look up my name the way it's spelled, right? Augustine, Agu. I don't say Agustin because I don't like that pronunciation. It's not Agustin in Spanish, but so it's Agustin, and then uh, RODRIGUEZ. And if you look up demo reel, it'll take you directly to my this old reel and also some other stuff. My channel. I got a couple channels happening. I'm working on the other one, and also Instagram. My first name Agustin dot NYC, like it's in New York City, and you'll find my Instagram, and I'm also on Facebook. So you'll find me on there, Facebook. There are a few Augustine Rodriguez's, but I think you'll see. We all looked at. There's a 12-year-old Augustine. There's a 40. Yeah, I was gonna say there's an older man, Augustine. I'm like, well, I'm 58, so I guess.
But by the way, so the Familia knows at home, that's how I found you because I tried to slide into your DMs. Do you remember this? A couple
Yes.
of years ago, I tried to slide into your DMs, but you hadn't seen my message. So you were doing an Instagram live, and I popped in there and I said, I am dying to get a hold of you. And here we are years later, still chatting, man. I'm still in disbelief about it.
That's funny. I've got to do. Yeah, I'll be doing more Instagram lives and Facebook lives, definitely. So
Well,
look
we
what
would
happened.
love to do, I know, but we would love to do an Instagram live with you on Power of X-Men, though. I think a lot of folks will enjoy that.
Let's do it. It's been fun. It's been fun. Paul, thank you so much. Thank you for
Of course,
you
man.
bring so much joy, imagination, and fun to your audience. You know, and a lot of people may not know this, but even the things you do to help, you know, benevolent causes on your own, like we've talked about that. I really appreciate who you are as a
Oh,
person.
man,
Thank
thank you so
you.
much. That means the world to me.